Good evening. This is Mr. Benjamin Santamaria, originally from Mexico, where he's been a champion of human rights for many, many years and continues his work here in Canada. He's a noted author, accomplished poet, and so much more. He's been writer in residence at Georgetown College, I believe, as well as holding writer in residence in exile position at Acadia University in Nova Scotia. I'm sure I'm missing some of his brilliant past. I'll bring him to the podium. This is Mr. Benjamin Santamaria.
Thank you very much. Well, I started working for street children 19 years ago in Mexico City, when I was returning from Argentina after the dictatorship. And during all this time, I always wondered, what are we really doing for these kids? And I attend many international, national, and local forums. And now that I am more or less 552 years old in this planet, I can tell you that that's a personal position. I learned not to trust in governments. I don't know why. And it's a similar situation that I have with established and institutionalized religions. Because my street children taught me very harsh realities and truths. And as you will see, I will try to talk about the search of truth. Not the truth, because I don't know the truth, but the search of truth. So, our organization, Project Desert Roses, is trying to focus on a very particular, and maybe will sound strange to you, issue related with human trafficking, but from a different perspective. I was thinking, and we were thinking, how to approach in a positive, propositive, even optimistic way to such horrifying topic like human trafficking. Is that possible? So then, after research and thinking and meditating and reviewing our personal lives, we came to the conclusion that it's necessary to talk about conscious love, enlightened love, and you will see what is that. And of course, social justice. The two different aspects of problems like this, individual and social problem. We mostly talk about the social problem, but what about me as a person? What about you as an individual? What are you doing every day? How do you live every day your relationship with women, especially guys, men? How we do approach or we do conquest women? How we do chase women? How we do inspire women? So, I learned from my yoga guru that everything is interdependent and interconnected. That's why when a society is having situations like human trafficking, that means that the cells of the brain of society is not really good. Something is wrong with each individual of this society. We don't really know, as you have seen, the magnitude of the problem, the factors, the people involved. You can't imagine. Causing suffering to millions of children, young people and families. But facts and history show us how ineffective are the government measures. And I would say, based on my experience, more than 20 years working on human rights, that signatures and laws are not going to stop the problem. And neither police or any form of violence against gangs, against criminals, against. And what is in favor instead of against? This so negative mentality to fight this, to combat that, to exterminate that, instead of doing the opposite. A very interesting book, one of the most ancient books from China, of course, a very wise civilization, the I Ching says, the best way to fight the bad is to improve the good. That's simple. And that's a beautiful lesson from China. So, and I was thinking, if there is any God, for sure, it's not by our side. It's not by my side. It's not by the side of my street kids. They told me that. They call me the Monkey King because of the stories of this Chinese character from the literature. And they told me, Monkey, where is God? Here? We haven't seen him. He never comes here to visit us. So don't talk to me about God, they said. So, what I think is there is no solution without us. We have to build the solution. Because it's easier to rely on governments or an extra spiritual or religious power. Or God will fix the world. No, He's not fixing the world. Because we, philosophers said, we are God. In some ways, right? All of us. And if we don't do that, He's not an apart entity that will fix the problem of human trafficking. It's not magic, my friends. We really have to work very hard. And we have to work in two dimensions, individual and social dimension. Like the hippies from my generation envisioned, we have to go to the inner search of ourselves. They were right. And the revolutionaries from my generation, the Che Guevara, Emiliano Zapata, Sandino, and many others, they were right. We need a social change. But they never connected. You know, like the spiritual people doing their spiritual stuff, and the social people doing their social stuff. What about if we connect both? I've seen many Marxist friends talking about equality and revolution and beating their wives. And I've seen many religious people going to church every day and not having serious compromise or serious commitments towards some social measures to stop poverty, for instance. We have to connect. So maybe it's necessary to unveil the truth about our human nature and our behavior. And you know what? We know this. Truth is very uncomfortable. The truth is not beautiful. The truth about my family is scary. The truth about this country is not beautiful. People coming from Europe to kill and plunder natives. That's the history. It's the history of your ancestors. It's not you. It's not you. But your ancestors did that. Maybe they tell you in a flourish way, oh, civilization. No, 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 no. They just came to plunder. That's the fact. So the truth about our social history and the creation of our modern institutions. We have to talk, as Lori said, in a very wise way, we have to talk about the effects of the conquest. That we in Mexico, we try not to say conquest. We try to say the invasion, because they didn't conquest our hearts. People, not only in Mexico, but as well in Salvador, Nicaragua, and the South, they are still resisting, natives as well as in Canada. So, we have to know those uncomfortable truths. And we don't have to panic and to feel ashamed. We didn't do that. Maybe my family, maybe my ancestors. My father killed his wife, so what? It's me? It's not me.